In this DCS SITREP update, WAGS indicates that they are shooting for this month the release of the Mig-29. Ugra Media hints at some updates coming to its various maps, including winter textures for Normandy 2.0. If you're looking to join thousands of others who are enjoying the PC VR journey in flight simulation or racing simulation, then look no further than the Pimax Crystal Lite, which is their entry-level VR headset with some of the best visuals in the business. Right now, the Pimax team is offering a limited time offer trade-in deal on your current headset so that you too can enjoy the clarity of glass-aspheric lenses providing ultra-sharp 2880 by 2880 resolution per eye. Not only that, but the team advised me recently that they have now expanded the trade-in option for the Crystal Super. This is the flagship headset supporting retina levels of clarity, and by taking advantage of this limited option trade-in deal, you'll get the Pimax DMAS headphones valued at $99 and prescription lenses powered by Hans VR up to $159.90. Now, the DMAS gift will officially end on September 14. However, all users who join the event during the campaign are guaranteed to get it. Don't forget to include Prickly Hedgehog 72 when submitting the upgrade form. This ensures you'll receive an extra gift. Now, with this trade-in deal and limited free shipping to the US, EU, UK, Australia, and Canada, it's never been easier to dive into the amazing experience that VR delivers thanks to Pimax. Check out the link in the description below for more information so that you can start your own immersive experience in VR with Pimax. Hello and welcome back to the DCS SITREP. I'm your host, Prickly Hedgehog, talking about DCS World and what Eagle Dynamics is doing with its virtual flight line right now, which is expanding rather rapidly with the pending release here of the Mig-29A, which WAGS showcased rather extensively in a long video this week covering aspects of the navigation processes, building basic missions and flight plans with the aircraft, as well as takeoff and landing sequences. And there were quite a few takeaways, so let's talk about those in this little video. One of the first takeaways that we can take is that the aircraft looks fairly complete, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. The amount of detail, as is expected these days, is really, really high. So very, very high fidelity cockpit. The aircraft looks really good, and as I said, it appears to be largely feature complete. Now, we didn't see any weapon launches or any of those kinds of fancy things, which I'm sure we're all waiting for, but we did get a sneak peek as to how to program what is effectively a data cartridge in the aircraft and create missions, which you can do through the mission editor system using the data cartridge, if you like, programming feature within that to plug in coordinates, etc., etc. Slightly different from some of the Gen 4 aircraft that we have in game, and I think it's probably less intuitive, but WAGS pointed out, yes, once you get your head around it, it is relatively straightforward. Now, people have pointed this out too, and I'm well aware of this. It's not an apples-to-apples comparison in terms of the Gen 4 aircraft here in game. Now, we know this because the F-18 and the F-16 are later variants, more in the 2000s, that these aircraft were updated, and so they feature a little bit more electronic jiggery-pokery under the hood than the Mig-29A has. Obviously, very early Gen 4 aircraft, and that's why we see a lot more steam gauges. We don't have MFDs, and so we just have a HUD repeater basically in the top right there. Nonetheless, a lot of thought has gone into this aircraft. It's still beautifully recreated. The graphics looked amazing, and visually, the fidelity is impressive. We saw some neat skins there as well, and the aircraft looked really good actually just flying around. Obviously quite pointy. WAGS pointed out the fact that you will be giving the trim hat switch quite a workout because there's no auto trim, unlike the F-16 and the F-18, which have fly-by-wire systems and built-in trims within those particular aircraft. So you're going to have to manually do that. So it's going to be a little bit more of a hands-on jet. I really enjoyed the visor, which we saw used in the Phantom from Heat Blur Simulations. So some of those features are, being cross-ported now, which is nice to see that. And that adds a little layer of realism, and I noticed too that there was a little bit of an animation for that visor being pulled down. So it was a nice little feature. Sound-wise, it sounded pretty good. Obviously, some of the sounds were fairly familiar. There are some generic sounds that they tend to use, but they work very, very well, such as, you know, the air brake, that kind of thing. But the engine sounded really neat. Loved listening to the engine spool up and down as Wags was flying the jet around the airfield. The Afghanistan map looked absolutely amazing too, and I know they've done a lot of work on that particular map, and we're going to see more features coming to Iraq here as well, probably within this next patch, I believe. So we'll see how things go. But overall, yeah, it was a pretty interesting video, and I think there's going to be some challenges getting used to that aircraft, especially with it being a lot more analog, with it being a lot more hands-on. Definitely was interesting to see the basic handling, and Wags admitted he was a little rusty in terms of flying around the airfield, and no big deal really. It still was useful in terms of getting a picture of what we can expect to see from this aircraft, and let's hope all things go according to plan in terms of this release. A September release would be ideal. Now, while we talk about releases, of course, there are other aircraft in the wings waiting to be shunted into the game. One of those is the C-130J, which we saw some showcasing from Ralphie Dude. If you haven't checked that out, I will post links in the video description below so you can access it yourself. So again, another interesting video, a tremendous amount of detail. This is a 4-engined prop plane, so there's going to be a lot more management, and the startup procedure is going to be quite a bit different from some of our other aircraft, I guess, in game, where you're just spooling up a couple of engines or even one engine. So yeah, that's going to lend itself to some different kinds of experiences and potential multiplayer enjoyment as well. So yeah, kind of a cool introduction of a heavy lift aircraft, and again, just a different flying experience, which we know hasn't really been ED's thing in the past. But I think with the advent of Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 and then the latest iteration 2024, there is a market now for members of the community who are looking for military style flying, especially within hot zones, but doing more logistic type work. Still some hairy flying. Certainly when you're in a large aircraft coming into a hot zone, you don't have the maneuverability, but you can carry a shit ton of countermeasures that a fighter jet could only dream of. So there is that, but yeah, you are a big fat target, and you are vulnerable when you're coming in low and slow comparatively to hot zones. So again, that can certainly create some pucker factors, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing further revelations about this aircraft. Now, I had a quick tour through some of the other studios, fairly quiet to be fair. This is where some people do take breaks and things, and Europe, the end of the summer holidays, that kind of thing, work is probably kicking back up. So I expect to see some updates from some of our third-party developers on DCS World work that they are doing, particularly Heat Blur. I have yet to see too much more from Flying Iron Simulations. We also have Octopus G working on the LA7, and I believe they're also working on an SU-22 as well. That's sort of another back burner type project that's going on. And Magnitude 3 is still working very hard on updating and improving and fine-tuning the Corsair, which has been a delight. So we'll see how the year unravels here in terms of release of more aircraft, such as the C-130J, the LA7, and any other announcement about projects and other updates coming to the various aircraft in game. Now, one thing that caught my eye was some posts from Ugra Media, who have been showcasing winter textures for their Normandy 2 map, and they look pretty good. They were flying around parts of England, parts of France, doing some ground tours in Calais, for example. So work going on there to keep those maps fresh, which was pleasing to see. A delightful map, actually, Normandy 2, and is a nice accompaniment to those of you who own the channel map as well. These upgraded the pre-existing ones from a couple of years ago and just build on that World War II area. And the other big thing we're still waiting for is more news about the dynamic campaign. This has been mentioned a couple of times this year. Wags did mention it probably about a month or so ago. We shall have to wait and see whether or not that is coming to the game this year in 2025. That was the potential promise, but of course it is a very complex and difficult project, as we have discussed in numerous other videos and as other people have identified, including the dude who made the dynamic campaign for Falcon 4. So that rounds out the news really this week. There are some more campaigns coming for the A10C2. And this one is Stone Sky's A10C2 Outpost Part 3 campaign. This chronicles the Syrian war at a pivotal moment, June 2017. The SDF is backed by CJTF OIR air power, advanced on the outskirts of Raqqa while Syria became a strategic outpost for both the United States and Russia. So you'll fly as a US Air Force pilot of the 7th and 163rd Fighter Squadrons. Your task's to fight in a complex, shifting battle space where intelligence gaps, weather, and a rapidly evolving ground situation force you to rethink the OODA cycle in real time. If you've not heard of OODA loop, then that's the reference there. So the missions span CAS, CSAR, and PPS, plus special assignments that test everything from fundamentals to multi-ship coordination. The campaign comprises 8 large-scale missions, each broken into 60 to 70-minute segments for tight pacing and steady progression, which is kind of nice. Some of these missions can they can roll up to 3 hours. I've done some 3-hour missions. That gets a little long and a little sweaty under the VR headgear, I must say, but it is fun. Now, expect sudden weather shifts, ground and in-flight emergencies, and richly voiced radio traffic. There's more than 1,700 lines of dialogue, apparently, and that's going to bring the theater to life, which it does, and is fun to hear. And you'll launch from Incirlik, Gaziantep, and Sanliurfa in Turkey, King Hussein Air Base in Jordan, and H4 in Iraq, with detailed briefings, mission histories, and background context to ground every sortie. You will find unique 163rd FS liveries, among others, and the entire experience remains VR friendly and simple control prompts via spacebar or mapped button. With 200 plus pages of documentation and kneeboard material, Outpost Part 3 is built for seasoned hog pilots seeking authenticity and mission variety, while still welcoming newer pilots through adjustable difficulty and clear mission guidance. Moving on to another really interesting campaign here. This is Iron Tide by Sandman Simulations. So this is Operation Iron Tide, and you're not just another pilot, you're the architect of the air war. Following an attack in Haifa and a wider surge in regional terrorism, the United Nations Security Council authorizes a coalition to dismantle Hezbollah's operational capacity. Collateral damage is unacceptable, so you're going to have to be precise. Every target you pick and your weaponeering must honor strict rules of engagement while achieving decisive effects on target. You will plan and command a large air component that includes 4 squadrons of F-14B Tomcats and 6 squadrons of FA-18Cs. You're going to have 2 carrier strike groups who will provide sea-based power, while 2 Marine Corps F-18C squadrons operate from air bases. At your discretion, you may step into any cockpit and lead from the cockpit of a Tomcat or a Hornet. Mission planning is the heart of the experience. Choose from a wide set of taskings that include air superiority, escort, fleet defense, suppression of enemy air defenses, close air support, and strike. Build packages that balance risk and effect. Your tactical choices and strategic sequencing will directly shape the number of missions you fly and the arc of the campaign. Pretty cool idea. Each mission is bookended by detailed briefings and debriefings. Naturally enough, you'll have 150 pages of tutorials, charts, and briefing material at your disposal for mission planning. Campaign spans roughly 10 to 40 missions based on your performance and choices. Features quality voiceovers that bring radio traffic to life, and that immersion experience is one we enjoy in DCS World. And if you want a campaign that includes command level choices that carry campaign consequences, Iron Tide is for you. Stay tuned for these campaigns. And the next update, says the ED team. This one sounds very reminiscent of that attempt to build a dynamic campaign, which is something that players are looking for. As I mentioned before, hopefully we'll see something in 2025, but the year is wearing on, and ED is definitely busy with this Mig-29 too right now, so we'll see how things go and unfold as the year winds on. Okay, well, that'll do it from me and Dr. Mocky, who you heard in the background probably, and we'll see you next time on the DCS SITREP. Thanks for all the support. Don't forget to comment, like, and all the rest of it. We'll see you next time.
Uzi 1, Overlord. Both SA-6 sites have been disabled. You are cleared to search and destroy enemy armor in Stanley.
The British Navy sure is angry with them. I mean, I heard heavy shelling, but this sends a message. It's not even accurate. It's just meant to scared living hell out of anyone who's unlucky enough to be there. Holy crap. That's it. Yep. Target, ZU-57. Let's drop steady. Egress north and then east. Recommit west or south. 10 seconds. Laser range is valid. Come left 4 degrees. 5 seconds to drop. Drop it. Pickle now. Okay, now steady orbit to the right, egress northeast. 10 seconds TTI. Lasers on. Yes, impact. Traffic, 1 o'clock, 2 miles. Terminate. Out for hit assessment, air to air, or stay air to ground if you want to rerun. Overlord Uzi 1, good effect on ZU-57, egress northeast. Ingress west, searching for BTR in the vicinity of the development corp.
Uzi 1, Overlord, copy.
You can slow down your orbit a bit. We don't know for sure if it's there. If we don't find it fast, we'll proceed to the fire station.